This is Providence Television International, the game changer. Stand by for the next program.
Thanks for staying tuned. If you're just joining in, this is the interview segment on the Morning Drive Providence Television International. My name is Ogbebo Ikikwa, and today we have quite an interesting topic. It is an observance day, actually, of the United Nations. Today is World Habitat Day. And to discuss World Habitat Day with me in the studio, I have the Chairman, Chief Executive Officer, Providence Television International, Dr. Emmanuel Igariba. You're welcome to the studio.
Well, thank you very much. World Habitat Day. I'm a student of the environment. This keys into it very well. But I welcome our viewers. Please stay with us the next 15 minutes or thereabouts. Don't go away, please.
All right, and so we'll start off with this. What is actually the World Health Day celebration all
habitat,
about?
Not health.
World Habitat Day celebration, what is it all about?
Well, we must recognize that today is World Habitat Day. From what you are seeing on the screen there, it's a global event, and it was established based on a United Nations resolution way back in 1985. And it is always the first Monday of October of each year. It reminds us that everyone is entitled to what we now call a comfortable and secure home. For instance, it creates awareness as per the basic right to shelter established by the United Nations. So it's a very important date. But habitat, let's define what habitat is really. Habitat is a specific place or surrounding that provides the necessary resources such as food, water, shelter, and favorable conditions. So it's all encompassed in the habitat, all right? So, and housing is just one of them. Okay, but there must be a conducive environment for people to live in. A lot of people around the world are still living in squalor. They are still living in environments that are totally out of sync with what the human person deserves. And you'll find such habitats in Africa, particularly in some parts of Asia. All right? They are near absent, these habitats, they are near absent in the developed countries. Yes, because of the attention paid to them. But that is not to say they don't have loose environments. For instance, you see have ghettos in the United States. But compared to certain parts of Africa and Asia, I mean, look at Haiti, for instance. Apparently the poorest country in the southern hemisphere. It's still reeling in these environmental issues. And that is what is replicated in most African countries. But it's a leadership question, really, if you ask me. Okay. So we can proceed from there.
All right. Well, let us look at this question, because there have been so many arguments for and against. Does the government have a role in providing good houses for people?
Before I answer that question, first of all, I think it's important to talk about the theme for this year's event. And the theme is engaging youth to create a better urban future. The reason being that urbanization is increasing and most residents are young people. Yeah, if you take if you go by way of demographics, they are young people who are migrating from the rural areas to the urban centers. Okay. Now, to answer your question directly, government has a lot to do with it. Don't forget the three basic things a human being needs are, namely, food, clothing, and shelter. Shelter is important because they have to be protected against the elements. Food you need for daily survival. Clothing, yes, you don't have to go naked, but that is the least significant of the three. All right. But the issue of housing, government can do a lot. A lot. It's been done before in this country. The former governor of Lagos State, may so rest in peace, Lateef Jakonde, he built estates. They are still in Lagos State till today. During the military, we had the housing estates in Edo State, for instance, the ones at Ikpoba Hill, then the Andrew Wilson estate on Sapler Road. They are still existing. In fact, they were built on owner-occupier basis. So after a while, you begin to pay a little from your salary or income. And then after a while, it becomes your own. Okay, that's what I expect our government should be doing. All right? Our government should ensure that people are sheltered. And there are, Jane will show us a few things just now. There are buildings, cheap structures that government, can we see them? Can we see those pictures, please? Yes. Structures that government can build are not too expensive. Yes, that can host an average family. Look at this, for instance. You will be surprised that this is even prefab. It's not cement. It's wood. Wood that is treated well, almost fire resistant. Government can do it. I mean, way back in Edo College in those days, we have prefab buildings, fire resistant. They are still standing at the present Idia College. Yes, 50 years after, they are still standing. Okay, so we can modify. If you think that cement is too expensive, let's have alternatives, for instance, so that people can be sheltered. And guess what? How much does it even take for government to build a small one-bedroom flat for people? How much does it take if we are serious in this country? There is no reason. I postulated that on many occasions, that each government in this state can have 300 housing units in the state per annum. In other words, 100 units in each of the 3 senatorial districts. Why can't government, why can't they do it? Housing unit. First of all, government is not going to buy land. You have land in abundance. Communities will even give you land anyway. Yeah, but government by law is the custodian of all land. Now, to build a one, assuming it's even 3 million. If they are serious, they know what they are doing. 3 million per unit of one-bedroom unit. 3 million times 100. That's 300 million. Simple arithmetic. Now, across the 3 senatorial districts, you are using about 900 million. Plus or minus, use 1 billion. Yes, it can be done. People are stealing billions. Billions upon billions into private pockets. And yet they cannot provide simple housing. Take that picture again, Jane. Please, take it again. Look at simple structures. This is comfortable, very comfortable, and every government can do this. Look at it. Maybe 2-bedroom. They can do it, for heaven's sake, so that people can move off the street and move off the fetters of Shylock landlords.
Okay.
Yes, because many landlords are Shylocks in nature. If a government is staying 4 years, every year you are building 300 housing units. For 4 years, you know how many buildings you will have put in place? Let alone the second tenure. Yes, and these things are doable. If we get our priorities right, they are doable. Why? After all, private people are building estates. Are they not building estates?
Exactly.
They are building estates, let alone government. But we get our priorities wrong all the time. And I'm happy that a day is set aside by the UN as World Habitat Day to sensitize people. Yes, that's it. To sensitize people so that we know the nuances, what is possible and what can be done positively.
All right. You talked about Shylock landlords. At a time in Lagos State, one of the governors, I wouldn't want to mention his name now, postulated a rent regime to regulate house rents. Is this a laudable action?
It's laudable as far as the economy is breathing, as far as the economy is viable. Yes. Because to be able, don't forget that some people, they manage and struggle to build houses to put on rent. So, and it's a business, so you must expect returns.
Okay.
Yes. But a house that was built maybe 20 years ago, they are still going by that same, the new regime. Oh, they will tell you that, cement is very expensive. Whereas they built the house about 30 years ago.
Exactly.
Yes. But they also want survival. Particularly those who have nothing on their table. They depend just on that. But I think there must be, if we must go by way of partnership, there must be government-private sector partnership to build houses for people. Our people must be accommodated properly. Okay. Not just housing. They must live in decent environments. That's the definition of habitat. Most people live in squalor, in filth. Environmental hazards will be there for them, which government sometimes does not control. Okay? The environment is battered by so many things. Battered by deforestation, by effluents from water bodies. Devastated. I mean, if you go to a delta area, communities are washed away by floods on a regular basis. Those into farming, their farms are washed away by effluents. And these are natural habitats for these people. All right? They are not even talking about accommodation anymore. They are talking about their survival. Gas flaring is one of them. You go to Isoko area, some communities in that part of the country, they have residents who go blind as a result of glaucoma and things like that because they are exposed to 24 hours of light, which is against nature. 24 hours of light because of gas flaring. And yet there are laws. Yes. My LLB project was on the environment, environmental law, and its impact on the Nigerian ecosystem. And all these foreign people who flare gas, they cannot do it in their own country. They cannot, because the law is strict liability laws. You cannot be flaring gas. Even federal government, there are laws against gas flaring, but these laws, are they enforced? Because the problem usually is enforcement. Yeah, we have laws against tree felling. We have laws against bush burning. Yes, there are laws, forestry laws, for instance. But the enforcement is the thing that matters. We cannot enforce some of these laws because we are complacent. Yeah.
And so, well, on this point, talking about the enforcement of laws, do you think there's a particular cement producing factory, I wouldn't mention the name,
yes,
that has a kind of monopoly? Is this healthy for individuals who want to build houses? Or do you think that this is part of the reasons why there is an increase in high cost of rents?
Well, we're moving out of the subject matter, but it's allied in some sense. Yeah, if you create a monopoly, in other words, it's coming from one source. There will be inflation because it's coming from one source. Because there will not be enough to meet the demands of the people. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about alternatives to cement.
Okay.
Yes, alternatives. I just talked about prefab buildings, wood. After all, if you go to United Kingdom, many parts of England, even in the US, it's common in the Western countries, your floor is wood. Your floor in your house is wood. Yes, and people can bear me out. Wood, not cement. You can have prefab, wood that is treated and can be fire resistant. All right? Look. Oh, I wish we could take the picture. In this broadcasting entity, I have this whole structure is older than me. Yes, it was built before I was born, but I had to transform it. There are some 2 windows there that I've left. Anytime people come here, I take them around. Those windows, small in nature, I left them deliberately because they are older than me. I changed some other things, a lot of other things, but I refused to change those windows. Why? Because they were right from before I was born. They are still there. The woods for those windows, they are still there, almost forever. If we treat them, if you treat wood properly, they will last even longer than the cement you are talking about. The table that the US president uses in the White House is over 200 years old. Over wood, the table, the desk of the United States president, over 200 years old. They keep treating it and it cannot go bad because it's treated, well treated. Right. But the other part of that fact is that those exotic species, where are they? They are gone. Our forest resources have been depleted almost completely. You cannot find Iroko now. I think in Benin, using Benin as an example, it's only about 3 places where you find Iroko. I'm not even talking about mahogany. I'm not even talking about ebony. I'm not talking about Masonia. These are beautiful species. But they are gone. But there's no control over them. And they are part of our habitat. As I said, maybe yesterday, a couple of days ago, the environment can live without us. But we cannot live without the environment. And the environment carries man almost forever. But we destroy it with our hands. Yes, we destroy the environment through our actions, particularly. How many places do you have in Benin where you have trees? No. Trees aid the process of you breathing in oxygen. All right. They aid in that process. We give out carbon dioxide. We take in oxygen. And those trees aid the process. Look at photosynthesis. I mean, for our viewers, went through chemistry and biology. It is the process that aids human existence. Okay? So, but we are losing it all. We are losing our environment fast. We are losing our environment to so many things, and it's our natural habitat. Just like plants and animals have their natural habitat. Okay? We are cutting down trees, which form the natural habitat of animals and plants. I said something yesterday, which may sound as an irony. Some plants are extinct even before they are discovered. They become extinct even before they are discovered. Some animal species are gone. The white-throated monkey in Okomo, gone. We don't have preserve anymore. We don't. All those wild animals we used to have in their natural habitat in this part of the country, they are gone. That is why in India, for example, they still protect these habitats for animals because they also aid the process of the environment, what we call biodiversity. Okay? They have their lives to live. We also have our lives to live. But when you go into tree felling, you are destroying their natural habitat. So where do they go to? That creates a very big problem on its own. So I'm happy that the world has created a World Habitat Day each year, so we can remember and be sensitized as to the importance of the habitat to man. Man, animal, plant, they have their natural habitats. They must not be destroyed in favor of the other.
All right. Just before we go, you actually mentioned during the course of this interview about Shylock landlords who built houses like 50 years ago, and they tell you that cement is presently at this cost, and so their rents must be at par with what it is with those who built recently. What's your take on this?
It is those people that should be sanctioned.
Okay.
Because in any case, if you built a house 20 years ago and you put it on rent at that time, you must have gained it many times over. All right? It is those people that... There are some mud houses in this part of the country. The landlord will tell you that, don't you know the price of cement? Meanwhile, the house is mud. I mean, how do you justify that? You go there as a poor tenant, you want to rent an apartment. The man will tell you, look, my son, the cost of cement has gone up. Meanwhile, the room you want to take is mud. It's built of mud. So how do you? It is such people that should be reported to the authorities. You built a mud house 70 years ago. Yes. And you are talking about the present. If you are talking about a house that was built maybe about a year ago, you can understand. There must be a disparity. Okay? Then you can really understand. And a house that was built 1 year ago cannot be hidden. You will know. Exactly. A house that was built 50 years ago, you will know that. Why won't you know? The signs will be there. Yeah. All right? So that's where government should come in. I believe that it can be done. And we must encourage them to keep prices low. Yes, it's a special appeal. It should be a special appeal from government, so that people can leave the streets. They can live comfortably. Yes, and this is where I think, I'm repeating it, government should come in.
Okay.
Yes, in tandem with the private sector. Let us build houses for people. Even churches. Church leaders, they are endowed. Can't you see they are riding fleet of cars and all of that? Some of them have 2 or 3 jets. Yeah. You know how much it costs to have a jet. You're talking of billions. Part of that could be plowed into housing for your members. I'm saying it again. Some of them, they don't believe in altruism in the strict sense of the word. And the good Lord Jesus Christ talked about it. You must be altruistic. You must be selfless. Because Jesus was. Yes. Only yesterday we were talking about one of the religious leaders who went on Margin of Error. So, but what I'm saying in effect is that all hands must be on deck. Let us use the opportunity of the World Habitat Day to reorientate ourselves. Government should add value to housing. Very soon we'll have other celebrations. There will be World Health Day, there will be World whatever, all sorts, as established by the United Nations. We must follow them to the letter.
Thank you so much. That's the Chairman, Chief Executive Officer of Providence Television International. Once again, Dr. Emmanuel Egariba, thanks for coming on the studio.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope it will sink in, the message you have given out on this occasion. Government, I'm happy though that a lot of people watch this program. They watch our station, and government officials particularly, let the message go round and let it not just rest within the ear frames of people. They should act what they have heard.
And so, from the Game Changer, we're wishing you a wonderful day ahead. Please stay tuned.
Thank you.